both coastal and inland communities later today. As we head towards the overnight hours tonight, we'll keep a chance for a few showers and isolated thunderstorms as our temperatures fall down to the low to middle 70s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
Hi, this is Justin Humphreys from the Humphreys Law Firm on Eastwood Road. The Humphreys Law Firm is located in Lumina Station, Wilmington, North Carolina, practices civil litigation, intellectual property, commercial, and residential real estate. Please give us a call at 910-332-0721 or visit us on our website, which is www.humphreysfirm.law. You can also listen to me every Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Folks, the sad truth of it is most of what we're seeing in the news cycle is just noise, and it's recycled noise at that. Nothing informative, nothing that actually helps us discern the times that we live in. That's why we started doing Heard Tell. Every morning right here on Big Talker Network, 7 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m., we talk and discuss the issues of the day, culture and politics with knowledgeable guests, no yelling, no caterwauling, just grown folk talk about the issues that matter. Join me, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning for Heard Tell. Enjoying Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to the program whenever you want, however you want, by asking for Big Talker.
Hey, good morning. Welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network. BigTalker.live is the website. Peruse our schedule of content. You can also download the app for Android and iOS devices. Pair that with your automotive entertainment system and take the Big Talker anywhere and everywhere you want to be. It's the coolest thing since sliced bread, I promise. Mic drop in 2. There we go. So, welcome back. Got a couple of rants to go on. This one really pisses me off. You heard Matt Bennett from WWAY in Pender County. A man has pleaded guilty. I think the term is actually, I don't know. Pled guilty to a deadly hit and run that happened 2 years ago. So, first of all, it took 2 years. 32-year-old D'Angelo Eugene Newton of Rose Hill has been sentenced to 30 days in prison. That's 30 days in prison. And probation for the hit-and-run death of 18-year-old Tyleek Bordeaux. Hit and run, meaning the coward killed the guy and then drove away. In January of 2020, so it's 2.5 years ago, Bordeaux was walking on Highway 421 in Pender County when he was hit from behind by a car. He died at the hospital. Newton began his 30-day sentence yesterday. 30 days. $30 days for killing a teenager. Technically an adult at 18, but still hit the guy, resulting in his death, and drove away. 30 days. Man. No wonder it's Wild West out here, man. I mean, there's no consequence. Do what you want. It's almost like the Purge in real time or something, right? Killed an 18-year-old kid, drove away. 30 days. Take over a whole country for 50 cents in sanctions, or $2 in sanctions, or whatever that was. Yeah, I mean, one argument is that the punitive model is not effective. And this guy doesn't. That's not even enough time to, like, develop an understanding of what happened. Unless the family is, like, visiting him every day, 6-8 hours a day, reminding him of who this person was, who this young person was going to be. All the stuff they don't get to do now. Because this coward hit him, killed him, and drove away. Well, I mean, it may not have killed him right away, but that's irrelevant, really, don't you think? Splitting hairs at that point is just being inhumane. But 30 days, that's inhumane. And probation, come on. That's, if anybody needs to appeal, the state needs to appeal that, or the people, or something, the mother, the family, something. Holy macaroni. Another fun North Carolina story I thought you would appreciate. We covered Chadburn, North Carolina, where the sheriff somehow, or police chief, sorry, not sheriff, police chief, Anthony Spivey, who was, corrupt as a rotten tree from the inside out, faked his own death in the end to try and get away from like 70 felony counts, selling handguns used in a homicide from the evidence locker, leaving poor Ben David and his team to have to, like, clean up that mess and still prosecute the cases, even though the drugs and the weapons had been sold. I mean, holy cow. Then this comes along. The publication is called Carolina Public Press, written by Mark Darrow. Yesterday, North Carolina set to cease existence as state treasurer calls for criminal charges. Yes, our friend Dale Falwell is looking out for us more so than anybody else, it seems. East Laurinburg will become an unincorporated part of Scotland County on July 1st. DA not commenting on calls for prosecution of town officials cited in audit for misusing funds. Andrew, you just heard in the show before us says that we get we're representative government and we get the representatives we deserve. And if you want an example of that, this is gonna get your blood going. At least we didn't do this on Monday. Even though the state auditor's office released an investigative report last fall exposing financial violations of officials in the small town of East Laurinburg, which is an old textile mill town near the South Carolina border. There's something about the South Carolina border town, the border. Anyway, the district attorney for Scotland County has so far declined to pursue a criminal case against the town's former financial officer concerning the report's recommended charges of embezzlement. Somebody's friends with somebody. For the first time in North Carolina's history, the local government commission used a new law, Senate Bill 314, to vote unanimously to dissolve the town's charter, which is scheduled to take place on June 30. A month prior to the December vote, the LGC, which is the Local Government Commission, the LGC seized the town's books and took full control of its meager finances. State Treasurer and our friend here at the Big Talker, Dale Falwell, who also chairs the LGC, and last year urged the General Assembly to revoke the town's charter because it had ceased to function as a viable governing unit, according to a November press release, said District Attorney Reese Saunders needs to bring charges against the former official. By doing so, it will hopefully discourage other elected officials who those who put their left hand on the Bible and raise their right hand in communities across North Carolina to not do anything like this again, Falwell said in a phone interview with Carolina Public Press last week. Falwell, who oversees the state's public pensions funds, said a conviction is also necessary to forfeit her pension benefits for the years she was embezzling town funds according to state law. The 15-page report published by State Auditor Beth Wood in October found that former East Laurinburg finance officer Jennifer Lett used more than $11,000 of the town's funds to pay personal utility bills and other questionable expenses. Of 28 checks signed by Lett, 22 were signed by her mother, Tyresa Hayward, who served as a town commissioner during the time period in question, according to the report. The town, which will become an unincorporated community within Scotland County on July 1st, has also failed to submit state-mandated annual audits since June 2016. 6.5 years. 6 years. The state auditor's report noted that its findings were referred to Saunders to determine whether sufficient evidence exists, quote, to pursue criminal charges related to misappropriation of public funds, end quote. Saunders said he would again provide no comment when asked late last week whether his office will pursue the report's recommended criminal charges against Lett. He also declined to comment in November. No charges had been filed against Lett as of last Friday. Betty Robbins, 80 years old, has lived in East Lawrenceburg since 1958. On a hot summer afternoon last week, she recalled the good old days of her childhood when the town hosted a 4th of July celebration every summer and the children played in the streets with little concern for their safety. It was a nice place to live. I raised my children here, Robbins said. You didn't have to lock the door every time you left your house like you do now. Because the way crime is, it's terrible now. Robbins said she served as a town commissioner for 4 years in the early 2010s when the town officials worked well together and with the state to keep the books straight. She thinks Lett must be held accountable and is frustrated with the district attorney's office for not yet bringing charges against the town's former finance officer. The upcoming loss of East Laurinburg's charter status is another tough pill to swallow, she said. You have a sign up there now that says East Laurinburg city limits. Now what will we have? We're in the county now, she said. The LGC voted June 7 to transfer the assets of the town to Scotland County following, quote, major lapses in governance, internal controls, and failure to submit an annual audit as required for 5 consecutive years, according to a release from the Treasurer's office several days later. In the last municipal election, write-in candidates were elected to 4 open seats because there was not enough interest among residents to lead the town out of its downward spiral, Falwell said in a statement. The taxpayers of East Laurinburg were not being properly served by their elected officials, and it was unfair to them to continue paying taxes after years of substandard service. After June 30, the town's property, cash assets, accounts receivable, taxes, and debts will be transferred to Scotland County, which was expected to vote to accept the transfer at its next County Board of Commissioners meeting, the LGC said. The commissioners unanimously voted June 21 to approve the LGC's resolution. Chairman Whit Gibson said he and his fellow commissioners, quote, felt collectively that it was the right thing to do, quote, even though there was no inherent advantage to the county for taking on the burden of managing the town's properties and streets. County Manager Kevin Patterson said roughly $30,000 was in the town's cash reserves, and the county would manage the City Hall building and 4 other properties. The county's resolution outlined other assets that would come under the county's control, including various pieces of furniture, 1 computer, and other office items, kitchen appliances, landscaping equipment, 2 old trucks, and an American flag. It said the only direct financial obligation the county is accepting is to pay the bills for streetlight repairs. Gibson said the county's attorney warned he and other commissioners of a potential concern that could burden the county when it assumes control of the town's properties. Both the LGC and the county are in the dark on the amount of the town's outstanding debts. Yeah, that's... Man, why would you sign up for something? It's like getting married before doing a background check. Anyway, so for Falwell and the LGC, the June 21 resolution signals the end of a long saga, but with 6 other towns and 1 sanitary district, which I do not want to know what that is, across North Carolina, still under LGC financial control, others may soon follow the same path. I don't expect it's the last time, Falwell said. On June 10, a former finance director of another town under LGC control, Spring Lake in Cumberland County, was arrested and indicted on charges of misappropriating more than $500,000 of town funds. Soon after, Falwell released a statement touting certain safeguard provisions in Senate Bill 265, which was passed by the NC Senate in May 2021, and is now sitting in the House Local Government Committee. One provision in there is that after a certain period of time, if audits are not turned in on a timely basis as required, that the city or county sales tax refund can be withheld, Falwell said. For the state of North Carolina to require people to do audits and then there's no consequence for failure to meet that obligation is also unacceptable. The fact is that the right types of audits could have caught these types of violations hundreds of thousands of dollars ago. My man, right? Not only is he trying to give you back the money that's already yours through the NC Cash thing, right? NCCash.com. We're going to have to get him back on the phone. But anyway, here he's looking at like, guys, this isn't, you can't be surprised. Right? Right here in North Carolina, right down there by almost at the border, just on this side of the border, on the right side of the border. But holy cow, $500,000, $11,000. I mean, just the entire town is going to basically disappear. And the real big question, obviously, is how criminals, maybe it's because nobody got hurt. We're so hung up on guns right now that all the non-gun crimes, right? Because think about it, Tyleek was not killed with a gun. He was killed by a coward in a car who got 30 days. 30 days. 32-year-old D'Angelo Eugene Newton killing an 18-year-old kid, Tyleek Bordeaux. 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, took 2.5 years. Finally pled guilty, started his 30-day sentence yesterday. 30 days. At some point they said it doesn't pay to be a criminal or crime doesn't pay or whatever, but, apparently it's not too much of a risk either. Right? Man. Now, there may be elements in there that are not being disclosed, obviously, in the paragraph-long situation, but a hit and run that results in somebody's death? Man, there has to be some outlandish. We don't know what time it was. I'm trying to get a little bit more information. Might do that during the break if I don't come up with another rant. Right? We go from Anthony Spivey to... oh, stop it. Laurenberg. We get what elections are important, man. That's all that can be said at this point. We get the government and therefore the services we deserve as a result of our elections. Now, not holding those people to account at the same level that we do the average Joe citizen, certainly based on some sort of bias, depending, right? Because obviously Miss Let is of favorable conditions, I guess. I mean, I don't know if she's blonde-haired, blue-eyed, or what, but something about her is magical to skate on what would be felony charges for anybody else, embezzling, city funds, or maybe, I don't know if it's a felony, but still it's a crime, for Christ's sake. And everybody's disappointed. Why? Because there is no recourse and they have to pass a special law. The only reason why we have laws is because people are just inherently evil. That's the truth of the whole thing right there. And if we could solve that problem, right, we could write a lot less laws. We could boil it down to, I don't know, 10. And those should just be common sense, right? Don't kill what you're not going to eat. How's that? I mean, that's pretty basic. As Frank Zappa said, the greatest responsibility to being a human is not interfering with anybody else. And that's pretty broad, right? You're allowed to do whatever you want, think whatever you want, read whatever you want. Just don't interfere with anybody else at any level. And in the case of Miss Let, Jennifer Let, is that it? Yep. Jennifer Lett, L-E-T-T, just in case you're curious and doing the Wikipedia thing right now. I mean, if you look at that in Chadburn, I don't know how many other operations that this can do. Okay, where is it? Local Government Commission. North Carolina's Local Government Commission. They have to dissolve the entire town's charter. Like, if they had a police department, gone. If they had a fire department, gone. Those buildings are probably going to be for sale to help offset the debts that the town had accrued under Jennifer Lett, who, again, is walking away free. I mean, it wasn't a violent crime. No gun was used. Just a few $1,000s padding her personal account on top of whatever she was paid to be the town's financial officer. I mean, wow. Whose idea was that? Huh. But we get the government we deserve due to elections. I mean, you're just echoing what needs to be said, neither left nor right. Corruption doesn't have a wing. Corrupt is a corrupt. And it's just a matter of which way they want to grift. Some go through religion, some go through public service. Everybody's got their hustle. Most of them are predatory in nature, as we are discovering here, and certainly in the cowardly acts of 32-year-old man, I need that back, D'Angelo Eugene Newton, hit and run, resulting in death, 30 days. I'm just letting that one sink in, because if you're not pissed, that I can't help you. But that'll certainly illustrate the type of representation that we have access to at the moment. I mean, commit a crime. It don't matter. Whatever punishment you do get isn't going to be that bad. All right, folks. The Asylum. We'll be right back after these messages and words and news and weather updates and all that good stuff. So don't go nowhere. The Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. 7 months after a man was last seen at the Federal Point Yacht Club Marina in Carolina Beach, his 19-foot fishing boat has washed ashore on an island in Portugal. Following the discovery, Portuguese authorities contacted the Carolina Beach Police Department. Joseph Johnson was reported missing on November 27th of last year by a friend who arrived in town with prearranged fishing plans. Johnson was not found. The Portuguese authorities are helping the Carolina Beach Police Department by gathering any evidence or information necessary to find Johnson. In Pender County, a man has pleaded guilty to a deadly hit-and-run that happened 2 years ago. 32-year-old D'Angelo Eugene Newton of Rose Hill has been sentenced to 30 days in prison and probation for the hit-and-run death of 18-year-old Tyleek Bordeaux. In January of 2020, Bordeaux was walking on Highway 421 in Pender County when he was hit from behind by a car. He died at the hospital. Newton began his 30-day sentence yesterday. If you live in Belleville, your property taxes are going up. The town's Board of Commissioners approved the budget at last night's meeting. Commissioners unanimously voted to raise the property tax rate from 9 cents to 12 cents. Mayor Mike Allen says this means homeowners will be paying about $100 more per year. Allen says they did not want to raise taxes, but with the growth the town is seeing, it was necessary. And with the 4th of July just 1 week away, people are shopping for fireworks for their backyard or community celebrations. Fireworks tents are up all over the area ahead of the Independence Day holiday. TNT Fireworks has a tent set up in the parking lot in front of the Leland Walmart. All fireworks at this tent are North Carolina legal and ground-based. Authorities warn against setting off fireworks brought over illegally from South Carolina, saying it is dangerous, especially with the dry weather we've experienced this season. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Get ready for an unsettled day here in the Cape Fear. Not expecting a washout, but we will be dealing with scattered showers over the course of our Tuesday, with highs much cooler than normal, getting into the lower 80s for both coastal and inland communities later today. As we head towards the overnight hours tonight, we'll keep a chance for a few showers and isolated thunderstorms as our temperatures fall down to the low to middle 70s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
Government has become too big, too overtaxing, and is constantly over-regulating every aspect of your life.
If you agree with that, tune in to Consumer Choice Radio every Saturday at 10 a.m. here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM. With me, Yael Osowski.
And me, David Clement. For an hour, you'll get expert analysis on what the government is sinking its teeth into next, and how you, as a consumer, can push back.
ConsumerChoiceRadio.com.
Teachers and parents, the North Carolina Symphony is here to support you as you carry on the education of your children and students. Take your kids on a free virtual field trip to the Symphony with a virtual education concert and companion student book. Go on a virtual journey to learn what makes music music, with music by William Grant Still, Beethoven, Brahms, and more. Access the free video and student book with password 1932 at ncsymphony.org/virtual.
O'Leary's Automotive Repair has multiple locations in the area in Hampstead, Leland, the Myrtle Grove area, Ogden, and Wrightsboro. O'Leary's Automotive Repair, a trusted, locally owned business since 2006.
was there. I had my timing right. I just blew it by looking at it. Does that ever happen? Welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network, BigTalker.live, the website. Please visit. Download the app for Android, iOS devices. You'll love it. It's a way of life, I promise. So, in trying to lighten the mood a little bit from that earlier rant, I mean, that's just... I don't know if you could be roasted, but anyway. Yeah, that would be frustrating to me. Anyway. Coming out of newsnetdaily.com. I don't have an author. Parents believe school could be more fun for kids. Children don't enjoy school as much as they should, think 8 out of 10 parents. Of course, parents aren't in there, but a survey conducted by One Poll on behalf of Lego Education found, yes, Lego, the brick people, found that 80% of parents say their children dislike or are bored at school. 1,000 parents were observed, and more than half, 57%, attributed this belief to a difficult workload that makes their children feel like they are falling behind. About 52% noted that a decrease in hands-on projects that expands a child's collaboration and interaction skills influenced their child's boredom. I will get to that in a minute. 74% of parents saw the use of STEAM. I guess they've added one. Oh, cool. They did. An acronym for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math for the future, with 70% revealing that their child wanted to explore a STEAM career. But 3 out of 4 caregivers also noticed that their children are happy to learn in primary school. However, their interest wanes in middle school. 80% of teachers surveyed think group projects are a good idea to help students learn. The biggest hurdles these parents face as they transition their children from grade to grade are staying engaged or focused, 52%, dealing with more challenging material, 48%, and getting used to it. Expectations of new teachers, 48%. They even acknowledge that their children sometimes got frustrated when their homework was too difficult, 73%. With some thinking they didn't understand their homework, 62%, and feeling too intimidated to ask questions, 62%. The survey also asked 1,000 teachers to consider how they can nurture their students' interests. Many educators believe that children who have more opportunities to relinquish judgment are essential to their development. Whoa. Wow. 9 in 10 teachers, 91%, bring practical learning tools to their classrooms. 87% saw improved student engagement using hands-on lessons. 74% of educators try to make learning fun by adding games and quizzes to their teaching routines. 49% adding progress indicators such as points or badges, and 49% through competition. Parents ranked progress indicators, 54%, and level progressions with increasing difficulty, 52%, as play style elements as things they wish teachers would use the most. There are also several skills that parents want their children to develop in school. 59% hope their children can learn to work under time pressure. And 57% want them to develop social emotional skills such as collaboration, resilience, empathy, and emotional regulation. 8 in 10 teachers, 82%, also believe that group projects should be introduced much earlier in students' childhood. There's never been a better time to redesign learning to make it more joyful, where classrooms are full of engaged students, aha moments, and opportunities to build resilience and skills of life, says Dr. Jenny Nash, Educational Impact Manager, USA, for Lego Education. She continued, this survey shows that teachers and parents want this for their students, and it is with hands-on learning that we can create these engaging, memorable, and meaningful learning experiences for our students. Parents are keen to allow their children to learn certain skills such as meeting deadlines and increasing their problem-solving skills and abilities. Teachers expressed their awareness of the long-term effects that STEAM and STEAM can have on their students. Nearly 8 in 10, 78%, said these concepts helped improve collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity, and 7 in 10, 69%, believe they will improve student confidence. As stated by Dr. Nash, building students' confidence and curiosity in the classroom can be a key factor in helping them become more engaged in school activities. Teachers found the most impressive ways to implement this with hands-on projects, 70%, and having students work together on group presentations, also 70%. Other methods include letting students make mistakes without judgment, 63%, as well as being free to make mistakes, 68%. There's never been a better time to redesign learning and to make it more joyful, where classrooms are full of engaged students, aha moments, and opportunities. Oh, that's a reiterative, but whatever. So, a little bit of recap there at the back. So, let me go back to where I was. 80% of teachers surveyed think group projects are a good idea to help students learn. Biggest hurdles. Okay, so STEAM. That's cool. They added arts to this. And this still has a bit of a punitive thing, right? So James Pack, again, you'll never remember what the teacher taught you. You'll just remember how the teacher made you feel. And James Pack was one of those guys that's like, look, your child on paper looks like a problem. This is the conversation with my parents as paraphrased and translated through the years. Now, if you'll supply the batteries required for these little Radio Shack kits, I think it was, or Heath kits or something. Archer, I believe. Anyway, there are these little kits that you can put together and take apart that if your child finishes the assignments in class, instead of, because apparently he gets this material pretty easily, he can work on these little puzzles and things quietly in the back of the room, so that he is engaged in something that's interesting to him, right? So yeah, I think we could make school more fun by making it less punitive and more reward-based. And again, the hands-on, the collaborative. And then you end up with, like, instead of having the super jocks all gathering together, you have the super nerds all gathering together, because the ones who finish early are going to be the ones in the back of the class building computers out of paper clips. Now, my stepfather was very interested in I don't think that he had the direct verbiage for it, but his lamentation for the educational system, and this would have been in the 80s. 40 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, is that there wasn't any real development of concepts at an early age, right? For example, you can teach the concepts of physics, the really out there heavy-duty orbital mechanics, light, travel, accretion, all of that. You can get those concepts into a child's mind at a very young age, like 5, 6, 7 years old, right? As soon as they're reading, they should be learning about the cosmos from one extreme to the other immediately and develop the concepts from there. You don't necessarily need you never have the you don't introduce the math at first. You introduce the concept, right? And then you introduce the math. How do you prove it? Let me prove to you that the Earth orbits the sun. Let me prove to you how the speed of light is calculated, etc., etc. So, if we could do that in group settings, in the school settings, even in the literature and the arts settings, and getting more of that balanced, encourage people to be smart, reward the people that would be smart, not just the jocks, right? Because it's the nerds you need to pay attention to. It's the ones that are quiet that you need to pay attention to, the ones that don't get to interact because nobody understands them, right? I mean, I have befriended a number of people, worked with a number of people who are certified geniuses. And they relay stories of absolute terror in school. They didn't, you just did not pretend to be smart. You did everything you could to not stand out, because that's the nail that gets hammered, right? And how many of the people that have gone absolutely psycho sideways were always like, oh, he was a quiet child, kept to himself? Certainly in the school, if he's not engaged in developing things in a group setting, certainly you can understand why Lego would be very interested in this. Right? I mean, they're the one funding the study. I don't know if the questions were actually tilted in that direction, but having hands on anything, whether it's Lego bricks or a live tarantula, that one freaked me the hell out. Military school, oh yeah. Had a biology class, and the guy brought in because everybody's in uniform. I couldn't tell one from the other, but one of the demonstrations or whatever was a live tarantula. And being the cadets that we are, we were ordered by our, ranking officer at the time, right? It's like, you will not move. Oh, yeah? Oh, that was a challenge, buddy. I tell you what, that was a challenge. But I did it. A live tarantula walked up my arm. Still freaks me out. And I knew that he wasn't going to hurt. It's not like I'm his dinner. But at the same time, it's just one of those experiences that if you didn't have to have that experience, you probably wouldn't have. Now that I've had it, I can say I've had it. I have been terrified to my absolute core, and yet still followed the orders far more logical and less emotional than my own. If that makes any sense whatsoever. I mean, it's kind of like breaking the spirit of the horse. It doesn't change the horse so much as it changes their attitude to their companion, or in our corrupt sense of the language, the horse's master at that point, right? That becomes their person. They can respect. They can, at that point, I'm like, okay, I have a new respect for being able to do that, and knowing that would need to happen. Because again, this is military school. If you're in a foxhole with somebody, you may have to do something that soldier. So having that experience was sort of a spirit-breaking moment for me, that it put into a perspective that somebody else's perspective might be more logical and less emotional, knee-jerk than my own. However, to just pivot that a little bit further, we have an emotional recreational room, an echo chamber by which we can, find the like-minded people, which in a lot of cases isn't bad, right? If y'all are into basket weaving and making collages from magazines that you cut up, whatever, that's fine. But some of the things that need to be, what's the word I'm looking at, encouraged at a younger age so that we can explore these ideas. Not everybody's going to become Neil deGrasse Tyson, but having that awareness, having that type of open awareness of these concepts, as they age, they're going to be more curious in more things, hopefully in civics. In which case, I think those concepts should be brought about at a much earlier age. Because being civic-minded as a citizen is crucial to the process. However, it is not encouraged or developed in any way meaningful anymore. I mean, we've sued the Boy Scouts out of existence, right? Our religious cults, denominations or whatever they're called, sects or whatever. I guess that's why they're called sects. SECTS as opposed to SEX, but, somebody got it wrong. And two organizations are under serious allegations and scrutiny. I mean, that's just heinous if you think about it, but holy mackerel. Then you got a bunch of guys that are staring into the night sky going, how the hell can we get off of this rock? I don't know. Oh, I could imagine there would be some upset crows. This is California for you. Ben Hooper saving me once again. Dive-bombing crows targeting visitors to a California park. June 24th, UPI.com. Visitors to a park in California's Los Angeles County have been dealing with an unusual problem in recent weeks. Constant attack from dive-bombing crows. Multiple visitors to Noble Park in Hermosa Beach reported being dive-bombed by crows in recent weeks, with some saying the birds were most likely to attack dog walkers. Well, that's interesting. They're just coming out of the trees and kind of dive-bombing you, and are trying to get you out of the park, Dan Cohen, who was recently attacked by the crows, told the NBC Los Angeles. The crows haven't caused any serious injuries, but the Beach House Hotel, located across the street from the park, hired a falconer to use his trained hawk to scare the birds away twice a week. The falconer, I'm going to mess this poor guy's name up, James Andrade, said the crows have even attempted to mob his hawk, Richter. Bob Shanman, owner of Wild Birds Unlimited, said crows are particularly aggressive in May and June when their eggs are hatching. He said the birds are highly intelligent. Crows get facial recognition, Shanman said. They know how to fashion tools to get food. They're omnivorous, will eat anything. Take two. Experts recommended visitors avoid the park in the early morning when the crows are most active, and make sure to keep their heads covered and pets leashed while in the park, lest they become lunch. Holy cow. Dive-bombing crows. Who had that on their bingo card? That should be a new thing, the bingo card. Oh, okay. This one's for the ladies who can appreciate desiring comfort in their laborious moments. Coming out of the Charlotte Observer. Charlotte 5. CharlotteObserver.com. Pregnant sea lion wanders onto a California golf course, gets escorted back to the ocean. Looking for a little comfort to drop her offspring After making a surprise visit and soaking up some sun, a pregnant sea lion was ushered back to the ocean after wandering onto a golf course in California, according to media reports. Omni La Costa Resort and Spa staff in Carlsbad contacted SeaWorld's rescue team to assist the animal. Dorian Lucas of the hotel said in an email to McClatchy News when the team arrived, the animal did not appear to be in distress, according to Fox 5 News. She was comfy and cozy on the golf course, SeaWorld Animal Rescue Program Supervisor Jenny Smith told Fox 5 News. The team transferred the sea lion to a rescue truck and took her to Carlsbad State Beach to return her to the ocean. Tracy Spar, a publicist with SeaWorld, told NBC7. The ocean is the best location for her to be and give birth when she is ready, Spar told NBC7. Officials said they believe with the high tide the night prior, the sea lion had traveled through a lagoon to get to the golf course. Well, from what I can tell, it looks like he's on the green. She, rather. See how confused I am with biology and pronouns anymore? Good God Almighty. Anyway, this pregnant sea lion, which is, I will attest now, was female, a she, was just looking for a soft spot because the sand gets everywhere, like Anakin Walker taught us, right? You know, it's coarse and it just gets everywhere. And the pregnant sea lion was like, man, get me out of here. I want a comfortable place in which to drop my pups. But nah, we throw her back in the poisoned drink with all the mercury and the oil. Here's a well-manicured lawn using only, distilled and treated waters instead of the crap that poor, she's forced to swim in. So we put her, we are just not good. We're just not a very good species to other species. That's all there is to it. And that proves it. Because we poison the environment, she tries to get out of it, we throw her back in. Get back in there. You don't get much more than that. You don't get any more than that. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a break right here on it's the top of the hour. And we'll be right back at the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network. Don't go nowhere.
Keeping Oak Island informed. The Big Talker 106.7 FM WFBT, Carolina Beach.
One Love Tennis started in 2013 to give back to young boys and girls. We now go through 460 kids a week that are learning about life skills, learning to succeed in life through academics and tennis. Putting those two together, if you do them well, you can write your own ticket. To get involved in this program, go to our website, one-love-tennis.org.
Folks, the sad truth of it is most of what we're seeing in the news cycle is just noise, and it's recycled noise at that. Nothing informative, nothing that actually helps us discern the times that we live in. That's why we started doing Heard Tell. Every morning right here on Big Talker Network, 7 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m., we talk and discuss the issues of the day, culture and politics with knowledgeable guests, no yelling, no caterwauling, just grown folk talk about the issues that matter. Join me, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning for Heard Tell.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. 7 months after a man was last seen at the Federal Point Yacht Club Marina in Carolina Beach, his 19-foot fishing boat has washed ashore on an island in Portugal. Following the discovery, Portuguese authorities contacted the Carolina Beach Police Department. Joseph Johnson was reported missing on November 27th of last year by a friend who arrived in town with prearranged fishing plans. Johnson was not found. The Portuguese authorities are helping the Carolina Beach Police Department by gathering any evidence or information necessary to find Johnson. In Pender County, a man has pleaded guilty to a deadly hit-and-run that happened 2 years ago. 32-year-old D'Angelo Eugene Newton of Rose Hill has been sentenced to 30 days in prison. and probation for the hit-and-run death of 18-year-old Tyleek Bordeaux. In January of 2020, Bordeaux was walking on Highway 421 in Pender County when he was hit from behind by a car. He died at the hospital. Newton began his 30-day sentence yesterday. If you live in Belleville, your property taxes are going up. The town's Board of Commissioners approved the budget at last night's meeting. Commissioners unanimously voted to raise the property tax rate from 9 cents to 12 cents. Mayor Mike Allen says this means homeowners will be paying about $100 more per year. Allen says they did not want to raise taxes, but with the growth the town is seeing, it was necessary. And with the 4th of July just 1 week away, people are shopping for fireworks for their backyard or community celebrations. Fireworks tents are up all over the area ahead of the Independence Day holiday. TNT Fireworks has a tent set up in the parking lot in front of the Leland Walmart. All fireworks at this tent are North Carolina legal and ground-based. Authorities warn against setting off fireworks brought over illegally from South Carolina, saying it is dangerous, especially with the dry weather we've experienced this season. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Get ready for an unsettled day here in the Cape Fear. Not expecting a washout, but we will be dealing with scattered showers over the course of our Tuesday, with highs much cooler than normal, getting into the lower 80s for both coastal and inland communities later today. As we head towards the overnight hours tonight, we'll keep a chance for a few showers and isolated thunderstorms as our temperatures fall down to the low to middle 70s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
My name is Brian Wilson. I'm running for District Court Judge. During my lifetime, I've gone from protecting your God-given and constitutional freedoms as a combat vet of the U.S. military to working locally as a carpenter building homes while I worked my way through college. For the past 17 years, I've been protecting and defending your constitutional rights in the courtroom. I'm currently protecting our rights of our most vulnerable, our children, as the guardian ad litem attorney advocate for the children of Brunswick, Columbus, and Bladen County. I've spent my career serving our country, our state, and our communities, so I ask that you continue your confidence by voting for me, Brian Wilson, in the primary elections on May 17th. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Yael Osowski.
And I'm David Clement.
We're the host of Consumer Choice Radio, broadcasting every Saturday at 10 a.m. here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Consumer Choice Radio is a weekly conversation featuring the latest news, interviews, and expert analysis that covers consumer topics from around the world.
ConsumerChoiceRadio.com.
I am State Farm Agent Rob Renz, and I want to help you get to a better place. Visit us online at ilminsurance.com. That's ilminsurance.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge right here in a world gone mad. Part of the Big Talker Network, bigtalker.live. Please peruse our schedule of content. There's also an email link there so you can send us any comments, questions, concerns, compliments, or critiques you may have. We can't improve without your help. And, well, now I'm about to pivot in a direction nobody's ready for. Maybe you are, I don't know. There seems to be a misunderstanding, and I'm going to help clarify it and bring it about to a different perspective. Roe versus Wade is completely misunderstood by 90% of the planet, it seems. Again, the whole thing is to move people, the decisions and lawfulness of certain medical procedures to go to the state. All right. Now, for those states that are going to uphold within their state, have an advantage going forward. And I'll explain that in a minute. I need to work something out here. there you are. Okay. So, the misunderstanding is that everybody's going to be, abortion is banned, or no, it's going to be horrible. You must carry it. Okay, so for those places that have a higher tendency to require pregnancies be carried to term, are going to need to grapple with an insane sociological problem that's going to develop. We already have a problem with unwanted childbirth as it is. We already have a blast. What's the word I'm looking for? When a person implodes and their life goes to hell in a handbasket, the children are not necessarily a primary concern when the parents are, imprisoned for years, right? When the parents have their own problems to the point that they're pretty much abandoning their children. How many children are in foster care alone? Given up for adoption, but nobody adopts them. They go into foster care. You can expect those numbers to go up. And the ones that don't get put into foster care that should be are going to grow up in violent households, and you're going to end up with more violent children raised in households that really didn't want them. And that's kind of our fault because we oversell sex without talking about sex. It's really weird. I don't know how we get away with it. And women are just now getting upset because, they've realized it. It's been a tool for them. But it's been a requirement at the same time. It's kind of weird when your one power is a power you can't control, which is your own flippin' body. Hollywood specifically has used women's bodies specifically to sell everything from, makeup to hair creams and God knows what else. What number is that? 3? That it's not really a fair treatment to turn around and say you can't decide what to do with your own body. That I would find to be extremely frustrating. And I'll go back to the previous example, the famous photograph of the Commission on Women's Health, and there wasn't a woman in the room. Not one woman in that photograph. You want to know why they're pissed? Dude, just hang on, man. You have no idea. But that's just the front side of it. That's all the adults. You forget about what these things, there's a book y'all need to read. The problem with a kitten is that eventually it will become a cat. Are you with me? So if you have a bunch of feral cats running around, they're going to be raised in a very feral environment, and they're not going to be productive, friendly, empathetic creatures to introduce into the general population. But it's mandatory to do so at age 6. So you're going to take these angry, feral... You see how this just isn't going to work very well? It's not being thought through to the other side of the equation. There's a lot more we could do. If that makes any sense, it seems like there's a lot more that we could do to make that work. That's pretty logical, I think. I don't know. So when looking at this as, it should be, it shouldn't even be a state choice or a law. Really. It's like making a law on what books you can read and what books you can't read. How's that free in America? I mean, we're supposed to be like the global leader in freedom. And hey, you can't have a child, or you must carry your child. You don't have any choice in the matter. And your pregnancy has now become literally a case for federal or a state policy or some sort of legislative policy. Oh, yeah. And we still expect them to look like they're not pregnant and to look like they're not, working a full-time job while also working a full-time job and delivering babies and still look attractive and do the sexy thing. I mean, the pecking order, so every social creature, right, mostly mammals, have some sort of pecking order. And to the victor go the spoils. Unfortunately, as a result of having sentience and cognition, we recognize these patterns of abuse. We try to correct for it. However, it ends up getting rewarded by accident or by design, depending on who you know, right? It's not what, or it's not what you know. Yeah. It's who you know. So keep that in mind the next time you go to the polls and end up electing somebody like Jennifer Lett. And who is it that's not prosecuting? I forgot that. I need to get that story back. Come on now. I need that story back. Get back here, computer. Come on now. I can't do this without you. Oh, my. Come on now. You can't tell me I'm faster than you. You got one of them fancy computer brain chips in there. Let's see. Trying to find... Jennifer Lett used more than $11,000 of the town's funds to pay personal utility bills and other questionable expenses. And of the 28 checks signed by Lett, 22 were signed by her mother, Tyresa Haywood, who served as a town commissioner during the time period in question. Saunders. Who is Saunders? Come on now. I need to know who Mr. Saunders is. Saunders is the DA. District Attorney Reese Saunders has not brought charges against... I don't know if it's a he or her, but apparently their friend, Jennifer Lett, which I'm guessing is a female, so they're all buddy-buddy, that the district attorney isn't going to file any charges or hasn't yet. I mean, if enough people care, they'll call in, and you would think they would care because they're losing their entire city. How about losing control? If we can't manage to keep corruption out of a town, how are we going to keep corruption out of women's health? Right? It shouldn't even... we don't do it with men. We don't, we don't get all bent out of shape with erectile dysfunction tablets. What the hell is wrong with us? And it's like, how did I get it. We need a pecking order, but holy cow. Oh, look at you, boy. I've had this problem, though I wasn't quite on the same mission as this young man. Coming out of Fox News, New York. No, get away from you. Okay, never mind. Go away. Not going to read you. Not going to worry about it. Now, this one's just as funny. This is South Carolina. I think what's happening is, like, all the poison of South Carolina is seeping up over the border into North Carolina. KIRO7. Kiro 7, South Carolina man accused of attempted murder after a fight over fettuccine. Bob D'Angelo, Cox Media Group National Content Desk, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. A South Carolina man is accused of attempted murder after police say he beat a woman over a dispute about a pasta dish. James Howard. Oh, they're not even going to... Sorry. TMZ would have so much fun. James Howard Moultrie Jr., 31, of Mount Pleasant, was charged with attempted murder and unlawful conduct toward a child. Oh my God, this is going to get worse. According to Charleston County Sheriff's Office online booking records. The victim told sheriff's deputies that she was severely beaten on Friday, accusing Moultrie of drinking and becoming angry because she had not made him chicken fettuccine. Holy cow. Here's another example of, you know, the mentality that no matter what culture you're in, the treatment of women, the viewpoint of, or the condescending viewpoint towards women, condescending view of women. Anyway, it's just, you know, damn a woman, I said chicken fettuccine. According to the sheriff's office, Moultrie and the victim became enraged in a heated, like you have to heat the chicken, argument before he pushed her onto the floor, the News and Observer reported. A 4-year-old child reportedly was within sight and had covered his ears during the incident, the newspaper reported. The victim took the boy out of the room, but when she returned, Moultrie allegedly punched and choked her and put his hand over her mouth and nose, the sheriff's office said. An affidavit alleges that Moultrie put the boy at reasonable risk of harm affecting his physical and mental health and safety, WCSC reported. A medical examination showed that the victim suffered a fractured nose, and significant inflammation and swelling, according to the television station. Moultrie was arrested on Monday. According to the News and Observer, he was released after posting $125,000 bail. Online records show the victim also claimed that in a separate incident May 17, Moultrie became angry and fired a bullet at her as she ran past as she sat in her vehicle. Yeah, so didn't get in trouble for that. He might get, you know, if he gets more than 30 days, then somebody needs to be pissed. Because, you know, you run a guy down, drive off, hit and run, resulting in death, 30 days. 30 days. Now, this guy who's well on his way to, you know, joining the illustrious crowd of criminals that we call the American culture is just going to walk away from another one, it looks like, because he's already, you know, if you fired a bullet at her, I'm guessing that would mean shooting a gun, but they didn't want to use the word gun, but you can use the word bullet. I don't know, maybe... I don't know. That one I'm at a loss for. The corruption knows no bounds. Criminality knows no bounds. Punitive measures are either ineffective or just not, what's the word, just no deterrent. There's an old quote, give evil nothing to oppose and it will disappear by itself. So yeah, if we taught that, it's a Gene Roddenberry kind of thing, a little zen there for you. But think about it. Instead of, and we're being punitive, some of these people just cannot be in the public. It's already too late. By the time they're 15, 16 years old, man, that crap is set in stone, and it'll only either get better or worse from there. If we get them as children, and get them curious into the world and the universe and science, technology, education, arts, or whatever, math, STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, math. There we go. We would have a lot less of these problems. So if we concentrate less on standardized tests, concentrate more on, hands-on projects, encouraging children to succeed. That's one of the cool things. So one of the unique experiences here. Once upon a time, there was a place called the Delphi School, Delphi. Its history, for any of those that are looking it up, is quite colorful, but I will get to that in a moment. However, the way the Delphi School is set up in units, right? Just the way the textbook is set up, where you have chapters and units, right? You get through a unit, you understand these concepts. So the Delphi project, the Delphi School, the way they worked is you were given your task, which is to complete that unit. And the unit is, pretty much self-contained. It's all self-driven. That's what's cool about it, I thought. Right? So if you could knock out 3 units in a day, have at it. And you had your goals that getting through this, quote, grade, unquote, required, completing these units and demonstrating the knowledge in them. And if you struggled, there were levels of, I guess, escalation for lack of a better term, where you could ask the kid above you, as it were, someone who had either just or had at some point previously committed the unit you're on. And it starts from there. And everybody was given a dictionary. This is the other cool thing. And you were pretty much commanded that if there was a word spoken or used that you did not understand, you were obligated, you were required, absolutely required to look it up. And if you were caught without your dictionary, it was bad. Right? And at the time, I was like, well, that's kind of stupid. But man, did it pay off. Right? Because the more you know, the less you can be swindled. The less you can be scammed. The less people can take advantage of you. And that's what politicians are counting on to get into office. Most of them. I will say that. Just a vast majority, like that reality star guy, what was it? Clay Aiken, trying to run for Congress, I think it was. Man, I tell you what, I'm going to take an early break because we're going to have a guest and we're going to have a fun conversation. And I probably will not be able to make it all the way to the top of the hour without some sort of personal, extreme personal discomfort. So with that in mind... Oh, what are you doing? There it is. I like that. All right. So, the Asylum, Your Refuge in a World Gone Mad. We'll be right back after this. Don't go nowhere.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. 7 months after a man was last seen at the Federal Point Yacht Club Marina in Carolina Beach, his 19-foot fishing boat has washed ashore on an island in Portugal. Following the discovery, Portuguese authorities contacted the Carolina Beach Police Department. Joseph Johnson was reported missing on November 27th of last year by a friend who arrived in town with prearranged fishing plans. Johnson was not found. The Portuguese authorities are helping the Carolina Beach Police Department by gathering any evidence or information necessary to find Johnson. In Pender County, a man has pleaded guilty to a deadly hit-and-run that happened 2 years ago. 32-year-old D'Angelo Eugene Newton of Rose Hill has been sentenced to 30 days in prison and probation for the hit-and-run death of 18-year-old Tyleek Bordeaux. In January of 2020, Bordeaux was walking on Highway 421 in Pender County when he was hit from behind by a car. He died at the hospital. Newton began his 30-day sentence yesterday. If you live in Belleville, your property taxes are going up. The town's Board of Commissioners approved the budget at last night's meeting. Commissioners unanimously voted to raise the property tax rate from 9 cents to 12 cents. Mayor Mike Allen says this means homeowners will be paying about $100 more per year. Allen says they did not want to raise taxes, but with the growth the town is seeing, it was necessary. And with the 4th of July just 1 week away, people are shopping for fireworks for their backyard or community celebrations. Fireworks tents are up all over the area ahead of the Independence Day holiday. TNT Fireworks has a tent set up in the parking lot in front of the Leland Walmart. All fireworks at this tent are North Carolina legal and ground-based. Authorities warn against setting off fireworks brought over illegally from South Carolina, saying it is dangerous, especially with the dry weather we've experienced this season. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Get ready for an unsettled day here in the Cape Fear. Not expecting a washout, but we will be dealing with scattered showers over the course of our Tuesday, with highs much cooler than normal, getting into the lower 80s for both coastal and inland communities later today. As we head towards the overnight hours tonight, we'll keep a chance for a few showers and isolated thunderstorms as our temperatures fall down to the low to middle 70s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, located at 8210 River Road, Southport, is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the Tackle Box open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6. Marine Service Pro is a full Suzuki and Tohatsu dealership. They deal in pre-owned boats, full service and repair, with certified technicians in all engines, and fiberglass specialists. The Tackle Box offers fresh local seafood, live bait, a tackle shop, and fish packing and shipping. They also offer a full-service U-Haul dealership. Spend time with Leon or Jenny for one-stop shopping at Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, 8210 River Road, Southport.
Enjoying Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to program whenever you want, however you want, by asking for Big Talker.
Hey, welcome back to the Asylum, I think. Yeah, I'm right. I read that right. What a day. What a morning. Just getting started. It's only Tuesday. Isn't that wild? All right. Big Talker website, bigtalker.live. Share it with your friends, family, and, well, whatever co-conspirators you may have in your life. We all get along. We all get by with a little help from our friends, right? And we could use your help, so please send us an email with any comments, questions, concerns, critiques, compliments. We can't get any better without your help. So, you know, that'd be a nice idea. That'd be a sweet thing to do. Anyway, I'm hoping to have a guest join us here shortly, and that would be really cool if he did. But my rant is still, most of my rant is still valid. I mean, I'm still wrapping my head around a 30-day sentence for killing a man and driving off. I mean, there had to be some outrageous stuff brought into trial to justify that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could see, I mean, how bad of a driver you got to be to hit something and not realize it? And it doesn't tell me if it's day or night, but even in the middle of the night, what are you driving with your headlights off? And to not stop and render aid? Holy cow. I mean, think about it. You may not be dead had you stopped. Tyleek Bordeaux may not be dead had you stopped. And I may not be pronouncing his name right, but that's irrelevant. 30 days. Holy cow. Right? And it's one end to the other. Maybe it was accidental. Jennifer Lett, not even having criminal charges filed against her, even after the recommendation for her to be seriously looked at, investigated, charged, embezzling monies. Come on now, really? I think one of the biggest things, one of the biggest revolutions that can happen in this country is more, I don't know, appropriate recourse on criminal activity. Now, the wrong side of that sword, or I should say the other side of that blade, is that the prisons have become privatized. And if you put a rich person in prison that's been privatized, they operate on what? Money? Oh. And if you have a rich person in prison who has money? Oh. It's not like they're going to be in prison. They're just going to be working from home. They've just changed their address. You see what I'm saying? Some prisons are less rehabilitatively oriented than others. Arapeo, or whatever his name is for anything else, at least had that concept down. Right? Being in prison isn't supposed to be Club Med, first of all. Even if it's a blue-collar, white-collar crime or whatever, man, if you hurt other people in any way, financially, socially, physically, it's not supposed to be a pleasant experience. Victims' rights, and criminals' rights and whatever else, there needs to be a balance between, what you're allowed to do and what we're going to do if you violate what it is we allow you to do. There's a lot you can do, Now, there's misalignments, I guess would be a good term for it. For example, if you had, say, a really good sharpshooter, that's a skill we can use. Maybe not in the private sector. Just don't let them out of the military. Right? I mean, we do it with football. I mean, these people otherwise would have, they would be in prison for violent offenses of some sort. Why we haven't gotten that together, I don't know yet. How are you doing, my friend? Hang on. There we are. How are you doing, sir? Oh, my, I don't hear you speak. What's happening? Oh, did I put you on the... No, you're there. Huh. I had something there for a second. Ah, damn it. Yeah, this is hilarious to you, isn't it? Well, what the hell have I done? Everything's there. I see your picture. You're a very handsome man. Oh, you disappeared. We're gonna try this again. It could be on my end. It's probably the stupid guy on this end. I'm gonna check my settings while doing my rants and everything else. Checky 1 2. You hear me, right? All right. Is that you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Ah, there we go.
Okay, good. I was worried I did something wrong.
No, it's me being stupid. I'm just not with the coffee yet, and very excited to have you back on the show, man. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has been a little busy, but I took a break from. I was trying to relearn the riff to a little train there, a little Blackfoot action, so I put that down and called you up real quick. So, yeah.
It's good to get the practicing on. So
man, I suck so bad right now. It's plus I'm doing. I told you I've ordered some new equipment between me and my daughter playing, and I've got a couple electrics en route, but they're not here yet. So I was trying to play it on my Fender acoustic, which is having mixed success, but it should make it nice and easy when the when the Les Paul gets here. It should be a piece of cake after that, right?
Oh man, I love my Paul. I gotta say that. So
well, I'm getting the cheap one. I don't have the fancy one like you. That's
Oh, my Les Paul is the bottom barrel studio, but it's still it's still a Gibson. It plays amazing.
Rub it in.
It took a while to get here.
That's okay. One of these here soon when I get some kind of money, either from doing something, because I have no money whatsoever. I've got my eye on a Gretsch and something like Train. That thing, those broad tonic pickups, man, they just growl through stuff like that. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. So.
I did have my hands on a Gretsch for a while. It wasn't mine, but it was I was the steward, and spent many hours sitting on the edge of my bed playing the hell out of that thing.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, Gretsch a couple of years ago really made an effort with their midline guitars. I'm talking the price range of $500 to $900, that mid-range price range. $1,000 and up, those are usually pretty good guitars, and then under that they're usually can be very questionable and spotty. But Gretsch really made an effort a couple of years ago, and their midline guitars, the Jets and the Electromatics, and that $500 to $800 price range, those are really, really good guitars. I mean, they're bone nuts, they're good bridges, they're all the regular hardware, they're good wiring. They're like, you can go to a music store and pull one of the Gretsch Electromatics off the wall, and you'll feel it. Like, you'll feel it as compared to one of the cheaper, Epiphones or Fenders, which is fine. I'd play a Epiphone Les Paul that's paid $170 for, but I love it. But like when you take the Gretsch off the wall, even at only a $500 or $600 price, like it's a Gretsch. Like you can feel it just picking it up. Like, oh, this is a heavy guitar, not heavy physically, but like you can just feel the quality when you play it. I told you this off air. I'll say it publicly. Like I was trying to figure out which Gretsch I really liked, and I was at Guitar Center, so I had them pull me from the the top row up there where you got to get the ladder kind of stuff, and they got to unlock it. I had them pull me a Les Paul. It's a $3,000 vintage late 70s Les Paul. As good a guitar as you can possibly get on the planet Earth, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
And I was going back and forth, and I told you the truth. I was like, man, I think I like the Gretsch better, especially for $700 compared to $3,000. But it, some of that's preference and bias and whatever else. But when you pull a Les Paul off the wall and plug it in, like you can oh hell yes, it just feels good. But those Gretches, even the midline price points, and I'm an amateur player, you're a pro, you tell me. There's just certain guitars you can pull them and you're going to get a quality guitar. You can pull a Gibson down, it's going to be good. I can go in the acoustic. Our Guitar Center, we actually have the acoustics are all in they're in the separate room with the door because it's humidified, right?
Right.
So you can go in there and like if you pull a $3,000 Taylor off the wall and you get like a $200 beater guitar down, you're going to tell the difference, right? the new midline guitars, people's got their biases and stuff, but with the electronics are way better than they were. Manufacturing methods are better than they were. You know, just because it's less expensive does not mean you're not getting a good guitar nowadays. It really doesn't. Especially if like you're me and you're gonna mod it a little bit. And one of the reasons I'm getting the cheaper guitars is for my daughter. I was like, you know, you can take the cheaper, you know, whether it's Fender and Squier or Epiphone and Gibson, or, you know, pick whatever brand you want. You can get that discount brand, put a couple $100 in the electronics, and it'll play like the $1,000 one easily with not a whole lot. And even if you don't have a ton of knowledge, it's just all the technology's there now. You have YouTube videos. You can do shoot. They got, you know, you can get all the electronics solderless now. Like they come in a kit. You just drop it in.
Literally,
you can redo. You can buy a Squier, and you can buy the drop-in pick guard with all the stuff. It's all solderless. You just slide the wires in for like $300, and it'll play like a $1,200 Player Series American. Like because it's the same. It's all the same stuff. Other than, you know, you'd have to change the nut and stuff. But if you are into music, this is an amazing time to be alive, because you speak to it, because you came up the old school way where you just kind of had to scrounge and what. Technology, it's all right there at your fingertips now. You can look up anything.
That's
you can
good or
find
bad,
anything.
man. That's.
It's good and bad, but I think it's more.
I mean,
for the generation coming up, it's more good than bad, I think.
See, I like that it can be done. Here's the utopian Gene Roddenberry version: is that people use programs like GarageBand to actually enjoy, explore, and have fun in their living room, and come together and be a little family and be fun and silly and family games and whatever else. But the problem is, too many people have turned this into some sort of like Daft Punk entertainment thing, that it has supplanted the quality of music with the technology and access to music tools, that you no longer are required to know music to make music. And I'm not saying that you should, but I'm saying that it's discouraging, much like our criminal system, that, you know, if you can get away with horrible crimes without paying for it, you know, we are going to continue to suffer Taylor Swift albums.
Yeah, but Taylor's pretty good. Like, she can write a song.
Okay.
I mean, even if it's not your cup of tea, I mean, there is a talent to being able to write a hooky, catchy song. Like, especially if you can write a couple dozen of them, like
Madison
she's done over the years.
Doing that for like 5 decades.
That's like when you've wrote what, I don't know how many #1 hits she's had, probably 20 at this point. Like, that's not accidental. Like, you're good.
That's
like
just
if you can do it more than there's a lot of really talented people that never get one, and she's got dozens. She did them twice, because she redid her whole catalog because she got caught in a bad recording deal, so she actually redid her whole catalog on top of it. So, you know,
well, that's an emotional grift right there, but that's a time subject for another time.
Oh man, I got a buddy of mine that's actually in a beef with he got caught up in the Spotify thing with a bunch of other people, where the Spotify contracts all got nullified, and it basically nullified everybody's record deals. And like, he's already told me, he's like, man, as soon as this crap's over, I want to come on the show and rant about it. I'm like, it's open invitation, but he's got to wait till the lawsuit's over, because you know they can't say anything to us. He's like, I'm gonna unload on how this crap went down. I'm like, I got you, brother, come on.
Oh yeah, they should be pissed. They absolutely should be pissed.
Well, and what's really hilarious about it is you think about, and I'm not going to get into points on a contract, because everybody's eyes will start rolling back in the head. You know how that stuff works. It doesn't sound like a big deal to have something that's like I think it was an 11-cent difference on the percentages on the Spotify. But when you consider that if a song goes viral and gets played 1 million times, you're talking about millions and millions of dollars. Like, and then by the time that filters down to the artist, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars to people who aren't making any money at all, usually off of that particular medium. That's a big deal. Like, that's livelihood kind of money.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they should have been ticked off.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying. You know, it's funny too, because my daughter, who she's kind of driving me back into music, because I'm kind of playing with her as she learns. She reads music. Like I can kind of read music now, but I'm still mostly an ear player. I could read music, but I'd have to sit down with a pen and paper and grab. You know what I'm saying? I can't just look at it. She can just look at it because she's played in band for years.
So when I started showing her tabs, it didn't make any sense to her.
Oh, it won't.
Like she was the backward side, and she's like, well, I was like, we got to understand, tabs was written for people who don't read music and are usually drunk and or high. That's what tabs were written for. Like, they're not written for people like you that can
they're
read
like
music.
little pictographs of the guitar neck.
Correct.
With
So it
numbers
was
and
actually hard
fingers
for her to figure out how to read tablatures, even though she reads music, because she already thinks along the lines of,
The first time somebody handed me tab, I was like, "Are you out of your mind?" Just
right,
give me
because
the
you're
chart.
classically, people that don't know TK, he's a classically trained musician on the cello,
if
so
you-
like he knows this stuff. She's the same way. She's in band, so she's used to meters and parts, and like it all makes sense to her. That's why she wants to play bass, because she already she's got low end theory drilled into her head already. But then you just get somebody. Here's an example everybody can relate to. If you go to your church, like if you go to old school, I know everybody's got a band now, but like old school church, you ever get a substitute piano player at church, like when you were little?
And know it.
If you have, because there's different kinds of piano players. You have piano players who play by ear, and then you have piano players that are classically trained. And if you switch from one to the other and don't let everybody know about it, and you've got a group of people that don't know anything about music trying to sing a hymn to it, you figure it out real fast, the difference. You know what I mean? Because the classically trained person is just putting their head down and playing the piece of music. The person playing by ear is being sensitive, and they're like, okay, they're behind me. Okay, now they're ahead of me. Okay, I'm adjusting. I need to slow my rhythm down. That sort of thing. You get 70, 80 people in a room singing a song that they all know, but the piano player has two different interpretations of it. It shows up really fast. A lot of people can probably relate to that a little bit more. That's what we're really talking about there,
So I have a fun story. My mother met.
Please, because I don't want to talk politics today. Let's just talk music for the
My
next
mother
15
and my
minutes.
stepfather met through a singing quartet they were a part of called the Camerata Quartet, and it was SATB, mostly sacred music, mostly European from the early ages of this.
Yeah, high church stuff.
Right.
Yeah, they call it. Yeah.
And
I'm with you.
and they toured Europe and did this, and it was really cool. And they had this wonderful piano player, Muriel Roth. She and her husband had survived.
That is a piano player name if I've ever heard one.
Oh yeah, and she's from like Holocaust era. They survived. Her husband still had the number. I don't know if she was, but I know he had the number.
Yeah, he had a tattoo.
Yeah, and
wow.
Yeah. So when it was time for her to retire, and they were auditioning other piano players, a couple of the auditions were held at our house. And one of them, Natalie Wam, I don't know how I can spell the last name, incredible piano player, but her resume had jazz on it, and that kind of worried my mom.
Ooh, yeah. Well, yeah, because jazz players, especially jazz piano players,
Well, I can't say it
they're
worried my
trained
mom. It worried some of the members of the quartet. I'll say that. I have to dilute.
Well, musically, jazz players are taught to play from behind. Which, if you're trying to do church stuff, it's
well,
the opposite.
that's not
so
what the
I can
issue
get
was
that.
here. So when she did the audition, right, it was flawless, absolutely flawless. She played it beautifully, perfectly, and she had some exposure, meaning the quartet had sent her a list of the material that they would be performing, and obviously, she knows what she's doing, and she prepares the material. She shows up, she plays.
She did her woodshed, and she was ready to go.
Yeah, and just absolutely nailed it. And afterwards they were discussing about the jazz, and she's like, "No, I'm classically trained, but I also, pursued jazz studies." And she's like, "Well, it didn't sound like it." And she's like, "Well, if you wanted me to play it with a jazz influence, then let's do this again." Played one of the tunes and was adding some really cool colors and flavors while still reading the music. So she was able to interpret as well as reconstruct on the fly, because the idea is the artist, much like writing a book, can write a song that another musician can perform 1,000 years later.
Right, and the thing with jazz or those little fills and runs, because I've been doing it because I'm relearning to. I'm having to relearn how to play guitar pretty much from scratch because my hand don't work. So I've adapted. I'm switching to a thumb pick because I literally can't hold a pick correctly. So I'm using. But it's so funny because I've been
for acoustic, I've been going back to my bluegrass roots and learning that, because it's all, not to bore people with guitar theory, but flat picking, you can still play all that fancy stuff, but it's a different way of doing it and approaching it. But the country scale and the blues scale is what all rock is based off the blues scale. But the country scale and the blues scale and acoustic guitar, when you're going from a G run to an E run or whatever the case may be, they're so similar, but they go to such divergent places. It's literally just, a minor change of your hand position, and it's the same thing, but you switch from the country scale to the blues scale. And the blues scale is where we got, all of rock music. It's where you get all of that comes out of the blues scale. Even your hip hop and rap, that all comes out of the blues scale. Soul, funk, all that's out of the blues scale. But it's so funny because all it is going from playing, instead of playing a G run, you just drop down and do an A minor run or whatever the case may be, and now you're doing a blues scale, or you can play a little jazz and you can fill it in. The music, one of the reasons I'm practicing that at that level is that exact reason, because it's just those simple little things that change it. And then you get somebody, I wrote a piece about this. Jim Cullum, who passed away a couple of years ago, one of America's greatest jazz musicians ever, played old school, like Dixieland, swing jazz band. Yeah. Dude, he had a club in San Antonio. I went in there. It's where I first heard jazz live, and jazz, you have to watch jazz live to really get it. Somebody like me. Because I wrote about it. I'll send you the piece. I'll link it to you. It's like if you walk into a factory floor for the first time, it just looks like chaos. And then once you've worked there a week, you can see that there's like different parts going on and stuff. That's what jazz is. It just the blast of it until your ear kind of trains to it. It sounds like chaos. But if you sit and watch jazz live, especially somewhere like the Landing, where you've got a 7-piece band playing 3 feet from you, like it's tight in there. It's a small venue. When they're in front of you and you can watch them switching off, and you can watch the nonverbal cues, and you can watch them take turns with the licks, and you can you know what I'm saying?
You can watch them smell something that's not a smell.
It makes sense because it completely makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it's like, he's playing lead because he was a clarinet player and a trumpet player. He usually played clarinet. That's a clarinet. That's not a cornet or a cornet, not a clarinet. A claret, a little short trumpet thing. Dude was monster. Go watch him on YouTube. They had an NPR show called Riverwalk Jazz for decades. Like it's still on. I think it's actually still on the air because I think San Diego or somebody still runs it. But Riverwalk Jazz, just go look it up. They played all that ragtime, Dixieland, that real old school jazz stuff. It's like, he's going to lead it. All right, here's the clarinets. Here's the clarinet's going to play a solo. Okay, now here's the drum solo. Here's the bass solo. Here's the piano solo. Oh, now we're back to the lead solo. Right. Like you can just sit there and watch it. And it really is a process, and it's this organic thing. But things like jazz, you just have to see it live, or it just doesn't make sense. Blues is a lot like that, but to me, they're so divergent. But watching jazz, when you watch it live, that's exactly how bluegrass players are. They're just passing the lead off. You watch bluegrass players, country players, and that comes from the Celtic tradition. So you can go over to Ireland, and the Celtic players are doing this exact same thing. You've got all the instruments just sitting there, and they're all playing the same tune, but they're taking turns with the leads and the runs, and then everybody else falls back, and then somebody else comes up. And like the old school bluegrass shows, it was always one mic.
Right.
Go watch it.
Whoever steps up and pull back. Now, when I was teaching band camp,
around the mic, and then whoever plays walks up to the mic, and then they step back, and then somebody else walks up to the mic, and they did it old school like that because when you did just a guitar pull, when I go home, I'm not going to the 4th this year because I'm not physically able to do it. The night or two before the 4th, they'll just have a big guitar pull, and that's what it is. You just pass it. You pass that melody off to each other, and everybody takes a turn with it.
And when I was coaching band camp, that was one of the things we taught is in the various songs, since the bands that we were creating from the music, because it was basically a music store that had musical students that we grouped into groups. So one group might have 4 guitar players. Right. So each person is going to get a different lead in a different song when they do their, what we would call a recital, they call a gig, right? We're trying to indoctrinate them early. That we group the rest of the band so that they can highlight the person taking the solo. So the other 3 guitar players and the bass player might group together on one side of the stage in a semicircle in an interaction that's allowing the person taking the time to have their
Just
moment.
not a drum circle. That gets a little hippie-ish.
Right, but they're off to the side, making sure that that person is separate and highlighted. And then you go back to being a unit group for the song, and then on the next one, etc. But to finish with my mom's story, the piano player, when she got done with that song, she started out just adding a little color. By the end of it, she was really jazzing all of it up, and a couple of the members were like, wow, that wasn't bad. I just don't know if we can get away with that. So they enjoyed it because now they were singing with even more harmonies in addition to their voices that added color and and resonance to it that, was not
It freed them up. Yeah, it freed them up.
But to do the actual performance, they had to tone it down. But I thought that was a fun experience where you can crossroad 2 or 3 different styles. There's a cat that's mashing up Mach live. I mean, he plays the piano live, and with his foot then triggers a beat machine and turns it into a EDM. It's amazing.
Oh, I love, and you know me, I like. Have you ever heard of a guy named Lincoln Durham?
Not yet, I don't think.
That dude, I sit there and like the folks you were talking about that's got all the technology and doesn't have any actual musicality to them. I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I'm talking about.
It is. It is very much a word.
Go look up Lincoln Durham playing Ballad of the Prodigal live. Dude literally does that song with a kick drum and a stick and an old suitcase.
Lincoln what?
He Lincoln Durham. Durham like Durham, Lincoln like the guitar. Or like the car, or like the president. Lincoln Durham. Insanely talented guy.
Oh, you mean like the criminal enterprise that is the west side of Raleigh?
Yeah, that too. But anyway, Lincoln Durham, go look at the live cuts of him singing Ballad of the Prodigal. He'll play that song, and he's an amazing guitar player. But he'll play that song live. He'll sing it, and he'll play a kick drum and take a suitcase and hit the suitcase with a stick. And that's all the music he uses for that song. And it'll just gut you, man. Like, and I'm sitting there like, that dude is hitting a suitcase with a stick. And that's a musician.
His website front page is him playing a one-string plank.
Yeah, he has his own. He has one. You know what an oil can guitar is, right? The old blues guys.
I mean, I have a cigar box guitar.
Yeah, he's got one of those, but I think it's either 1 or 2 string resonator or something like that. That he not only built it, he wrote an entire album of one-word titled songs around it and did a whole album based off that instrument.
So I wish I had that kind of time. I will here in a minute, I guess. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm looking forward to you coming down tomorrow. You're driving all the way from the back hills, or no, you're not coming from the hills this time, are you? Where are you? Heading into, oh no, your connection froze. That's a sad day. Oh man. Well, so that's Andrew Donaldson from ordinary-times.com. I'm going to have to figure out exactly what happened here. Yeah, looks like it froze. It may have been that his internet got wicked overloaded or something. Because when we start laughing, it just doesn't keep up with us. But anyway, well, tell you what, let's do this. We are going to talk. What? I'll tell you what. Yeah, we're going to pick this up tomorrow. And we will have a fantastic time on the Asylum, which is your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network. BigTalker.live. See you tomorrow.
Keeping Ocean Isle informed. The Big Talker 106.7 FM WFBT, Carolina Beach.
Folks, the sad truth of it is most of what we're seeing in the news cycle is just noise, and it's recycled noise at that. Nothing informative, nothing that actually helps us discern the times that we live in. That's why we started doing Heard Tell. Every morning right here on Big Talker Network, 7 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m., we talk and discuss the issues of the day, culture, and politics with knowledgeable guests. No yelling, no caterwauling, just grown folk talk about the issues that matter. Join me, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning for Heard Tell.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org.